All right, so sorry for the network. So just start from where you begin at our asking who is Senator Naathen. Can you just introduce us? So this is Focus on Liberia, folks. We're here with Senator Danda F. Naathen of Bapolo County. We've come to have you exclusive with him. So Senator, welcome once again to Focus on Liberia.
Well, thank you. I'm Senator Daniel F. Naathen of Bapolo County. Bapolo is one of the sub-political divisions of Liberia. Administrative districts, 3 electoral districts, a population of a little over 130,000 citizens. We have been established as a county since 2000, and we have been involved in the legislative.
All right, so let's start with the Senate. You a member of the Liberian Senate. How long you been in the legislature, Invite? When someone will let you ask questions.
I started the legislative work of the county in the year 2003 during the Judy Bryant interim government. We worked to assist Judy Bryant in disarming the warring factions to prepare the country for election, which we successfully did. Warring factions were disarmed. The country went to election in 2005, and the first female president elected did not get elected. But our tenure was over when I was back in 2014, after the 2014 election, midterm senatorial election. I went back to the Senate, and I'm still here. The sport committee, several of the Senate committee.
All right, so when you talk about transport, I'm sure aviation falls on that. Yeah. So recently we have the issue with our airport. The one of the major airlines in the world, SM Brussels, a few days ago canceled 8 flights to Monrovia.
The oldest African state is having problem, especially with the only airline, international airlines that airport that we have. As you may know, the Salif was able to secure some grants that built a new terminal after the first terminal got damaged during the war. And the terminal is brand new, but they operated a specialized committee. I was part of that specialized committee, in addition to the standing committee that I chair. Went on to do physical inspection of the facilities of the airport, and we realized public that this is the problem of the airport. We did not want to scare away other airlines that may be in the process of taking decision to come to utilize our and provide services to our people. So we thought that the government could quietly do some of the things that had been recommended by the aviation team that came and investigated the facility also, and gave us, in fact, they gave us 3 months first to correct some of the errors that or some of the problems that the airport had, and then later on other actions. If we did not, other actions would be taken. And those issues that were recommended by the aviation team that came never were corrected. And so individual airlines started taking decision, and most of the international airlines took decision quietly, and the last one is the Brussels Air that took the decision to cancel flying into our airports because of those factors that we will advise against. And so we have tried.
How many of the international airlines that?
Well, we had is that UA? the United Airlines first, and a few of the smaller African airlines also took similar decisions. But we did a comprehensive report of that specialized committee and recommended several actions to be taken by government. And one of the major ones was first to repair the available equipment that will advise against. And we also should try to privatize the airport, because we do not have the money to invest in the operation of the airport. As a nation, we should look in the direction of privatization so that we can be brought on par with international standards. But privatization, of course, will take some time. It requires a lot of investigations. But the immediate thing was to see whether some money could be invested in repairing the equipment that are obsolete, or replacing some of the equipment that are non-functional. That has not happened. I understand there was some promise made by the government to spend so much money to do that. It was announced to the Liberian people. It was announced to companies that were doing business at the airline, especially the airlines. And that has not happened. So we have the unfortunate situation of Brussels cancelling, which is the only international airline that will take you either to Europe or close to the United States. And now, what is happening now, we do not have the facility anymore. If you want to fly out of here, you will have to use a smaller aircraft that will drop you either to Freetown, or you take car from here to Freetown, or to Guinea, Conakry, or to Abidjan. And that is the inconveniences that we are faced with right now.
Thank you. Even though Brussels backtracks on that decision a day after they announced it, which is a good news for us. I'm sure that was based on other internal discussion with authority of the airport. But let's get to the Senate, Senator.
They have reversed that.
Yeah, they did so. A day after that pronouncement was made.
I didn't get that update.
Yeah. But let's get to the Senate. I'm sure there were many of your viewers who are commenting, are interested. I mean, a lot of the viewers are commending you for the work you've done at the Liberian Senate. But let's look at the Senator Naathen. You are recontexting. What is so much about you? What qualifies you? What sets you apart from others who have been there that you think, or who has vowing that you think the people of Bapolo should re-elect you? That also for the third time, because you've been there first and the second, third time.
Yeah, the governance of a nation is a serious business. As you know, we are practicing a Republican form of government with three major branches, and the legislative branch is one of the heads of government that is responsible for the actual governance of this country. And so you go into the legislature to help the presidency and the judiciary to govern this country to the liking and appreciation of the Liberian people and the total residents of the country. And so you don't go there to learn to do things. You go there to make sure that you provide the support that central government needs, and also to properly represent their people, to be able to. I'm not saying that I'm going to live forever, but the people of Bapolo have invested in me by allowing me to go to the Liberian Senate, and I have learned so much. At their expense, at my sacrifice, to be able to provide the needed legislative support to this government on their behalf. Should I walk away with the knowledge that I have and have somebody new to come to begin to learn?
So let me put you a little bit. Why do you think others don't have that knowledge?
Well, as far as I'm aware of those who are putting out their hands right now to run against me are all newcomers.
Okay.
They are coming to understand the intricacies of the policies of the legislature or the practices that the Senate is involved with. And so they're all new people. Should we go through that? We went through that before. I was defeated in 2011, and all new people came on. It took 3 years for President Salif to do business with the new people that came to the legislature. And so the business of Bapuru was stalled by that until I was again blessed by the grace of God and the support of the people to go back in 2014, 2015. I started. By the time I got settled with Madam Salif to begin to move her back to Bapuru, she was very busy with transition to end her constitutional term. And so there's serious side effect of total turnover of legislative personnel.
Okay.
And that side effect is seriously impact the program, the legislative program, the development program, the governance program of the country and the people you represent. So I think I'm too knowledgeable in the business of legislation. I understand the practice of the legislature so well, and I think it's an asset to the people of the country. I don't think they are prepared to let me walk away with it.
That is the word of the people.
That is, I'm speaking on behalf of the people of Bapuru.
So, I mean, you say you are too knowledgeable. What specifically your office call for? Many Liberians misunderstood what legislator office should be, or what is the responsibility of the office. What could you say to that?
Well, we are elected to do 3 major things. Okay. We are there to do laws, to make laws, to represent the people, speak for them to central government, and oversight after the executive is authorized through national budget, the programs of government, to make sure that those programs are properly implemented. I mean, on a good government, that will happen. So that is the 3 cardinal reasons why we are elected. We are also there to provide personal humanitarian support to our people. If the need arises where we are asked to intervene in some personal matters, as citizens and affording to do that, we are on our obligation to respond to their daily needs.
All right.
And so we have been here all this while. We have never gone an inch from here. We have heard and listened to the daily requests of our people. And so they are just used to us and we are used to them.
All right, so so coming back to the legislature or vying for re-elections to the legislature, specifically the Liberian Senate, what are those programs you think it should be executed both nationally and locally?
Well, again, you should know that Bapuru is the last country created. Our governance structure is yet complete. There are a series of political subdivisions that are yet to be created. Yes, we have profiled several of them in line with the local government, the recent local government act that would sort of complete the local government structure of our country. We are still in pursuit of that. We are also there to work with our colleagues in redoing most of the old legislation, do amendment, do adjustment, or complete new laws to replace the old one that do not respond to current realities. And so there's a lot of programs that we have. We have the presidential legislative program, we have the legislative program, we have the citizen legislative program. And let it be known here, it is not only lawmakers that proffer bills. The citizen too can, through their lawmakers, proffer bills, as the president does. So there's a lot that I think we can do, both on behalf of the citizen and ourselves, in addition to what the president program, legislative program would be like. So we are yet to complete the structuring of our country for proper and easy governance. I hope that some of the bills that were introduced and passed by the Liberian Senate that are yet to be concurred with by the House of Representatives, as we go to elections, or before we go to elections, my colleague in the House of Representatives will pick some of those bills up. You know, Babel has only one known city, as compared to Grand Cru that got about 34 cities. We've tried to add one more city to the one city that we have. That bill was introduced in the Senate. It was passed by the Senate. It's sitting now in the House of Representatives yet to be concurred with, to create the second city, which is Bama Town. So we hope that some of the bills that we've done and are sitting in the House of Representatives will be picked up by my colleague and acted upon before we go to elections. If not, if God bless, I'm re-elected and other new representatives are elected along with me, we will try to get them to take interest in working on those bills.
Thank you. So one of the things I'd like to ask you, Senator, is the issue of by-elections in Liberia or in the legislature, when maybe somebody dies in the legislature, or president appoints someone from the legislature, or someone is disabled, or someone have been incapacitated to work. We go for by-elections, and Liberians so now cry that, oh, this is waste of resources, this is waste of money. What can you say to that? Do you think you could be one of the senators who recommend that someone dies in the legislature, or there is a vacancy created in the legislature? I mean, there should be another, system of appointing someone to complete the unexpired term rather than go to by-elections.
Well, I respect. I always try to respect the law.
Okay.
The Constitution of Liberia suggests that if there's vacancy created, the vacancy, the house in which the vacancy is created should announce to the NEC of that vacancy, and the NEC has a certain time to constitute re-election or by-election to have that vacancy filled. And so until we can go back to the Constitution and do what is required under the article of amending the Constitution to go to how do you call it? Referendum. There's nothing that we can do about it.
Okay.
We cannot sit in our corners and say, well, the by-election is costing us so much money, and therefore we should appoint a citizen to complete the unexpired term. We'll be violating the Constitution. And so we have to amend our Constitution to suggest that. And we know the amending process. We have to proffer propositions to the Liberian people through electoral process, so that they will decide whether to agree with the propositions proffered or not. Other than that, we are obligated under the Constitution to conduct by-elections whenever necessary.
All right. Now, what do you look for into presidential nominees that come to you for confirmation? You confirm them, you give them, you give the president the go ahead to announce them, and they take the offices. What do you look for in them? Most of the time, people have cried with you with your name, or the senators can confirm anyone the president appoints. So, what are those quality and character do you look for in someone that is been nominated by the president?
So the Constitution says the president shall nominate with the consent of the Liberian Senate. The president has the vacancy, vet applicants, and then nominate, and they come to us to agree with the president that the person nominated is the right person to serve in that public office. What we look for is to make sure that the person nominated by the president meets the quality that we are hoping that this person has, the knowledge that the person has in the office appointed to, and the, you know, and this is the moral difficulties. How do we know what your moral behavior is, how you will respond to your responsibilities, whether you are a rogue or thief, or you are some form of white-collar criminal. It's difficult to look in the face of a person and say you are of this kind of character. And so we will take you and confirm you to the position, unknowingly, not knowing all of your moral attributes. And so we will do the physical thing by looking at your CVs submitted to us, your responses to our questions, and we would have to believe that you are of the character and you are up to the you have the capacity and ability to carry on this job. But most time we are disappointed in the character of persons that we confirm from the nomination of the president. The president himself sometimes would want to shift the blame on us that we qualify the nominated personnel and send them to him to work. But again, all of these people serve at the will and pleasure of the president. So if we all find out that the person is not up to the task, and this person is a criminal, this person is a thief, it is the responsibility of the president to exercise that constitutional authority, you know, to say, well, you serve at my will and pleasure, and you are not serving right to the satisfaction of the Liberian people, we get you out. But usually this president does not do it. And so
you said this president?
This president.
Why this president?
Do it. I have not heard of the president looking at the poor performance of somebody and telling the person you are inept and therefore I'm going to get rid of you. I think people have been circulating newspapers, old newspapers here, of President Doe dismissing Joseph Boakai, of Amos Sawyer also dismissing Joseph Boakai because of inefficiency. And so when can we reference for this president to have dismissed someone for being ineffective?
How do you rate your level of confirming appointees or nominees now as compared to maybe when this president?
Well, I think we are improving on what we were doing before. Before we were blindly just passing all of the Tom, Dick, and Harry that came to us from the president. Okay. I think we are doing better now.
What was responsible for that?
Well, again, the euphoria, that belief that this president was up to the thing, he came to change Liberia. And so everybody wanted to support the president's program. Nobody wanted to be seen as undermining or being very difficult in allowing the president to do the work for which the Liberian people, you know, to get the mandate of 14 of the 15 counties, and Liberian people in the 15 counties say, go and work for us. So we all were having that belief that this president was off for business. And so we all wanted to support him. So everyone that he sent, you saw how flexible we were.
Okay, let's move as try to draw the curtain down. The issue of the budgeting, the passage of the budget at the legislature is something that you've been condemned of. Everything the legislature is condemned. Everything that happens in the legislature is condemned. I'm sure it happens because you are there to speak for the people. What sort of budget you would like to see? What could be your advocacy with the budget? Most of the time we found out that huge portion of the budget goes to the legislature. You have a country where you give the legislature, they pretend $1 million budget. You give the speaker $1 million or more than $1 million budget. And what will you say to that, Senator?
Okay, look, I don't know whether the people understand that the legislature directly directly, I would not want to say indirectly, directly responsible to 3 point some or 4 or 5 million Liberians. I mean, individual and daily contact with that population. I'm not talking about the presidency that's so difficult to reach, but these people, we are directly in contact with the population, and we receive their daily demands. Their lives and our lives are tied together. And so how do I respond to my responsibility, respond to the responsibility of several thousand people, like in my country? How do I do that if I do not have the salary that I earn? And that's the reason why the government and President Salif saw the responsibility associated with the legislative work, decided to allow the income of lawmakers to at least get on par with some of the other states of the universe. And I think it was most convenient and most supported of our positive responses to our people. Unfortunately, this government came and slashed it by half, which has put us into difficulties. I can tell you, my income would never go beyond the 15th of the following month. If I took pay for this September, by the 15th of the following month, my pay will be out, because it's huge demand on it, and I have to share with people. People are sick, children are out of school. In fact, this term is the worst. School is still closing and they are opening. And now parents are caught unaware, unprepared. So where do they run? They run to their lawmakers.
People say you turn yourself into an humanitarian rather than a lawmaker.
We don't do that. Look at the economy. Look at this country. What is the job market? Nowhere. Like in my country, besides government jobs.
You make policy.
Which policy?
That's what you affect the people's lives.
So what is the revenue income of this country? And as I've said, look, for development, we are late. Okay. Because when the country was a virgin, when the resources were untapped, we allowed past government to exploit by internationals, and the resources were taken away, and they were not demanded to develop the country. My country is grossly underdeveloped. It's one of the richest countries in this republic. We got everything. The big diamonds that left this country came out of our country. The laws that were harvested in this country came out of our country. What do we have left there? Nothing. I want you to get on car tomorrow. I pay your way, you go to Wiswa. Go and see Wiswa town. You heard of Wiswa before. Go and see Wiswa town, whether there where diamonds came from. So, sometimes I say maybe we are cursed. Our resources did not work for us. It has never worked for us. In this government, they got tons of Ghanaians all over in the forests of Bapolo, on the waterways, digging gold and diamonds.
Do you see them?
I see them. I have tried to stop them. It never worked. I wrote the Liberian Senate. The pro tem of the Senate seized the letter and it never came back on the floor. The Ghanaians are there raping our girls. I mean, the untold economic burden that's been created by the presence of these resources in our country is just unimaginable. And so it's so terrible for this country to be the place where we are.
Do you think the Senate has a light as proclaimed, or mostly said by Senator Dillon? He's a light. Do you think so? Do you need another light to be?
I'm a light. I've shined the light even before Dillon came. I've been shining that light. Everybody is a light. And it's just that everyone is not used to this facility. Not that I'm afraid of the camera. Not that I'm afraid to talk to the press. But should I do all of my business in the press? Should I talk to the camera all of the time? I don't see, and you are my man. How many times I have called you to come talk to me so I can be heard on radio? That is not mine. But we do this all of the time, sending the right message to the people, going to the cabinet and the constitution.
Yeah, that's a question. So let me just bring that question up. I know within myself I did not vote for cabinet general. I know that, but I mean, that's one thing that people criticize you for. How do you look at that? What do you do to avoid the reoccurrence of shares? That's first aspect of the question. Maybe let me turn the other way. Why, if you're part of the ruling party, could you have voted against Cabinet General?
I wouldn't have, and in fact, my party, if my party was the ruling party, would never practice that. I worked with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for many years. There are issues that was introduced that was not in the best interest of the Liberian people. We took it as party issue, talked to her, advised her against it, and she will listen. If she was president when the cabinet story came up, we're going to advise her against it and tell her that if she did, she would be violating the constitution. She would have listened. But this president, this government decided to disregard the constitution, especially Article 43 of the Liberian Constitution, to go ahead with the impeachment of cabinet in the absence of national impeachment policy. The Article 43, if you read it, it requires that the legislature shall prepare national impeachment policy. What formed the legislature? The legislature is comprised of two houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate. That makes up the word legislature. And so at no time in my legislative history that we have ever passed on impeachment policy for this country, not only to impeach judges of the
Court,
of the judiciary, but to also impeach the president, the vice president, and other impeachable characters. And so that has not been put into place. Now they come to impeach cabinet. We raise the issue. Some elements of the Liberian Senate took a provision of the Senate rules, transformed it into the impeachment policy of the state. We took the matter to the Supreme Court, but it was already set that this guy should be removed from the bench, and so it was done.
Okay.
Against the will of the minority.
So let's try to conclude on this two note. You, I'm sure from what I'm hearing, you're still part of the CPP.
Yes,
you are the chairman of the ANC.
Yes,
so I mean, I'd like to know from you, what can you boast of that you have achieved as chairman of ANC, and what can you say to people who feel that it is the ANC, that is responsible for the crack within the CPP?
But if anybody thinks that the ANC is responsible for the crack, they will have to go rethink about their senses. I'm sorry to say this, because the ANC willingly went into the collaborating process. The ANC, through its standard bearer, raised its resources for the success of the CPP. We managed the CPP with the resources of our standard bearer and the party, and took the CPP to election, the midterm senatorial election, and we all are witness to the performance of the CPP during our election. That was under the care and direction of the ANC standard bearer and the party structure, because I serve as national chair of the executive committee of the four parties that were in the collaboration that took, and my standard bearer was the head of the CPP that took the CPP to election, and so we did so well, and we were praised by all members of the CPP at the end of that 2020 election. And so if anybody would think that we took and branded the CPP properly that the Liberian people accepted, to come back from there and then undermine what we have invested in, then we must be, I don't know, you know. And so
do you think they're still a CPP?
Yes, we are, and I'm proudly, I'm so proud that I'm still part of the CPP. The CPP is surviving. The CPP has been rebranded. We have done the framework document. It has been
how many members?
It's been filed with the NEC. We are currently 2 members left. We were 4 originally, the 2 left, and the 2 members of the CPP are still holding on the CPP. We have, we will soon be admitting, and the Liberian people will be officially informed, additional 2 political parties that would carry the CPP back to the original 4 parties. We are also opening the window for individual Liberians who are interested in collaborating with the CPP, you know, and other institutions that may not want to be clearly listed as on the logo of the CPP. And so the CPP is surviving, is vibrant. Our ANC standard bearer, Alexander Benedict Cummings, is now the standard bearer of the CPP. We all are doing all we can to make sure that the CPP is safe and sound to go to elections with President Weah 2023. And we are very much convinced that the CPP will win President Weah in 2023.
Even though you did not disclose the name of the 2 other parties that will be joining you, but Liberians will be very concerned as to the strength, the political strength. What can you say to that?
Well, these are traditional political parties. They are not just registered today. I am one of the spokespersons of the CPP, but I do not have the authority to speak to that now. But the parties that will be joining the CPP are traditional Liberian political parties that are known, that have taken part in elections in Liberia, that have been tested at all levels. Legislative and presidential candidates have come out of those political institutions. And so we are well on course. We are moving. The other side are left. They are quiet. They are not doing anything. The collaboration, they claim that they were forming, I don't think it will go.
Is it anything that disappointed you when the other 2 parties left from the CPP?
I got disappointed, especially with the former Vice President's Unity Party leaving. That's my old party. I didn't think that he would have left. He would have cleaned the house as the elder in the house and bring us together and make sure that we go to election to flush out this madness that we have. We didn't think that Joshua would have taken the country to where it is. And I think it should be the concern of former Vice President Buckeye that what we have now is not what he expected. If he had won the election in 2017, he wouldn't have taken Liberia to where we are. For him to get into a collaboration that would reduce the suffering of the Liberian people and leave that collaboration in the middle of the water and turn his back, I am disappointed. I'm still disappointed.
All right, 2 questions and we'll close up. The Senate did an amendment recently on the 2003 pension law that set a pension benefit for members of the legislature, the judiciary, the executive, I'm sure. That bill was rejected by the House. I'm told it been repealed if that information is correct by the Senate. What do you make of that? Was there anything that was missing from the public?
I think a lot was missing from the public, and the attitude of the press, you guys, to just grab one aspect of information and throw it out to the Liberian people is not fair to the Liberian people, and also not fair to the representative of the Liberian people. We met a pension policy that is being executed by this government or executed by the Ellen government. It was the most obliged pension program. The Ellen government enforced it. This government partly has been enforcing it, and we just felt that it should be done to meet current economic reality, and so the amendment was the percentages that the 50% that was thrown out to the Liberian people was not that 50% across the board for everybody. It was graduated percentages. And you got to understand that people are serving 6 years. When they leave, both honorably or whatever, they will have to get some appreciation. And then people are serving more than 6 years. What do you do with someone that will serve 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times? You didn't read the document where the 50,000 is coming from. I mean, the 50% is coming from. You just took the 50% and said the people say they want 50% of their salary when they leave. That was not fair to the Liberian people and not fair.
But your colleagues from the House also rejected that.
Yeah,
do you also put in the same program because they did not read too?
They didn't read and they were responding to public reaction.
Okay.
And we are going to election. Remember, they see DeLonge's signature, serious arrival to the CDC. They see his signature. They see other opposition people's signature. They say, well, this is opportunity for us to dirty them. And so they threw it out and made it appear that DeLonge is insensitive. He called himself the light. Other people are insensitive. In fact, the Senate is insensitive. And that is serious injustice to the characters of decent men and women of the Liberian Senate. But that was corrected by a statement from the pro-tem. I'm sure the Liberian people understood. They understand the truth. The Moses Black pension policy is very clear. It both was spread on the table together. What the Moses Black pension policy says is more expensive than what was thrown in the air that people were responding to. And when the longer you serve, the higher the percentage. And so that is not only you serving one term and then you get 50%, or 2 terms you get 50%. They are as low as I think 10 or 15%, the lowest.
From 10%.
Yeah, 10%.
First term.
And then you graduate to that percentage.
All right, maybe the what draws the attention was a 50%.
Yeah, because people just wanted to bomb off the Senate. And so they just took the highest and said the guys want 50% when they leave, which is not true.
Okay, so let's conclude on this note. Two questions into one. You from Bapolo County. You Bapolo lawmakers have been criticized by your citizens that much have been given to you, but now less have been done in the county. You produce pro-tem of the Senate. I mean, you still have very deplorable road to go to your county. Nothing to point out in the county. What do you say to that? That's A to that. That A to that.
Yeah.
B, I'm sure you should pick up B before you go to A. B. Senator, what can you boast of in the county as a senator that you think will be the yardstick, the trunk for your re-election?
Yeah, there are many things that I can boast of. You know that Bapolo was Lofa, and the local administration of Lofa County was situated in Banyama, and most of the citizens that were appointed to administer Lofa County were from the upper part of the Lofa, and so the development attention was concentrated first to upper Lofa, that warranted our cry to many governments to separate us from the central Lofa County, separate the lower Lofa from the central Lofa County, so that we can have control of ourselves and be able to administer ourselves properly. And that was granted by the Charles Taylor government. The county was created very underdeveloped, no roads, no functional health delivery system. The school system of the area was in very bad shape, and nothing much, of course, you would say, since we gained independence from Lofa County has changed. But what I can boast of is that this county is created. This county has survived the test of time since creation, and the notorious prison that almost took Ellen Johnson Sirleaf into that forest part of our country, the Belayala prison, was closed down by President Sirleaf, by our advice to her. She moved into that forest region.
Was closed down by whom?
By President Sirleaf.
She closed it down.
She closed it down. She moved into that forest region along with us. She closed the prison down and promised to pour a vocational school there. She did build a vocational school there, and promised to open the corridor that the governments of Liberia, not only the Todman government, also the Togo government, they didn't want to see any road leading from Bopolo to Belayala because they didn't want to have access, for the prisoners to have access to road to get out. And so she promised to put road there. She did that. We went with her in Belayala, December 2009. We spent the Christmas night there. The road entered. On that trip, she traveled with the ambassador of the United States of America, the ambassador of China. We went in there, and the road today is there. There's a link between Bopolo and Belayala, even though it has not been reconditioned since the government came to power. So I take pride in that we're able to cancel the notorious prison facility there. We're able to build road between Belayala and Bopolo. We're able to, for the president to put a vocational school in Belayala. We had several facilities. The court, the court that is standing, the second court that is standing in Bopolo was a pilot project initiated by the judiciary, the Chief Justice, and that was the first court ever built. We went and advocated for that along with several other persons, lawmakers, and were able to win that during Chief Justice Johnny Lewis' time, and that court was built. That court has served and is serving the people of the country. We have several ministerial courts added because of that in several other locations. And several health facilities came in, several schools came in, and I feel very proud that we have a country and we had a president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that listened to our stories and reacted in a minimum way. Knowing that the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government started with $80 million budget with the enormous problem of the state, and of course the budget grew to a certain level and it has to respond to all of the needs of the people in the other 14 countries, not only our country. So the minimum that we could get the government to do, the government did. So I feel very proud that I associated with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Yes, I'm still in this government, but I got serious limitation because of the constitutional bottleneck. I am in the legislature. I do not collect revenue. I do not spend revenue. I only advocate for budget allocations. When those allocations are made, the revenue should be collected by the executive and expended to implement those projects. That is not happening right now in the country. The country, yes, produced a program. We didn't get much out of him. Okay. Yes, we had a minister of state that was deputy president in this country that was sitting in the office of the president that made a decision. We did not get, up to now, did not get anything. Now he is dismissed or he has resigned. And so, but we look up to God. I'm sure things will change after 2023. And so we are still proud to be citizens of Bapolo, and our people are proud and resilient people. We will keep holding on and looking up to God for a better days tomorrow.
What's your last message to your people I'm sure there will be emergence of different new faces, other old or new faces in the elections. You have just spoken from the beginning of this interview that you have opened the bases, you are all in the bases, you have visitors, you experienced. So what do you have to tell them finally? People are coming, news are coming.
I just want to say to the Liberian people, those who don't know the citizens of Bapolo, that I trust the people of Bapolo. I believe in them. I know they will know the differences between those who are coming. There are people who was
the former finance minister, the former minister of states. The
former finance minister got some money. I agree. I don't have, but the citizens of the country knows the difference between the former finance minister and I. the services that are provided to them. The former Minister of State, I heard he's also expressing interest. He's got some money, and the people of the country, I trust and believe that they know the difference between those gentlemen and I. And so I believe that the judgment at the polls in 2023 will be in my favor, because the people have worked with me. They understand what I stand for. I do not go out there to take what that does not belong to me. I do not do things to damage their characters. I'm not the one that anybody will call thief or rogue. But there are some people who are now laborers. Some people who they are calling thief and rogue. So,
who are those?
No, I don't want to call names right now. But we know people that are called thief and rogues in this country right now. And so we hope that our people will make the right judgment comes 2023 when it comes to the Liberian Senate. They will also make the right judgment in 2017. We have asked them not to go for this president. They went for this president. We all have got their experiences. I'm sure they will listen to our advice next election to do the right thing when it comes to casting their vote for the next president of the republic.
Are you intimidated by some of the names you're hearing?
Not at all. I mean, if I didn't know the people of Bapolo, I would be intimidated. But I know them. I know what they stand for. I know how they respond to issues. So I'm not intimidated. I know my people, and we have been working together.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. So the voice of Bapolo County Senator Daniel F. Naathen, that he been speaking to me here in Monrovia, Liberia. We are in his office here on Lane Street. My name is Prince Moba, and you've been following Focus on Liberia. Thanks for watching. Let me say thanks to our CEO there from the USA, from Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Dennis Jar. Let me say thanks to the operation manager, Mr. Anthony C., and my colleague here in Liberia, Theophilus William, for always providing the necessary courage needed for Liberians and those in diaspora. Again, my name is Spring. Thanks for watching, and we also apologize for the caption that you did not see. That was based on a technical problem from the internet. We're going to do the edit on that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye for now.